We are live. Welcome to another episode of Back on Track. I'm your host, Brother Ghazi. It's a podcast dedicated and committed to bringing to our community information and stories, and that's designed to inspire us, impact us, and empower us to make different decisions and choices in life, to cause that shift in our mind and in our reality when we're dissatisfied with where we are to where we want to be. And today we have with us my big brother. We go way back, like two flats on the Cadillac. He and I grew up together in St. Louis, but then he and I met in one of those unfortunate circumstances during the unfortunate ghetto rites of passage. Like many young black men go through the prison industrial complex. Go through the prison system. So we knew each other prior to prison, but then we met up in prison. And brother served 23 and a half years. He got a lot of information to offer and to give. He's out now doing phenomenal things, serving as a peer specialist, certified peer specialist down there in Columbia, Missouri, helping a lot of people readjust and make the adjustment back into society. So in light of COVID and everything that's going on in this world, and a lot of people that are stressed out and frustrated with isolation, I figure who's best to talk to us except somebody who know how to master isolation, who know how to thrive and survive under isolation and under environments where there's a lot of restrictions. So without further ado, let's bring on my brother Mataka. How you doing, big brother?
Hey, brother, assalamu alaikum,
Alaikum
everybody.
salam.
What's up, brother? Thanks for honoring me to be able to share my story, and I appreciate it greatly, brother.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we appreciate you, man. So let's get into it, man. Let's talk a little bit about yourself, and then make sure you speak up a little bit because your volume is a little low.
Yeah, it's kind of they be on me about my phone. So, like you said, bro, we grew up in the streets in St. Louis, and growing up in those type of communities, man, we're not the most financially stable community, so we kind of poor, and there's a culture that was born from that poverty even before we was raised, right? So we came into an influence of a culture that had already developed unhealthy coping mechanism, just trying to survive everything that we've had to endure in America and somehow thrive under those conditions. I'm a product of that. I was in the streets at a young age trying to get those things that I felt made me somebody so that I can get the recognition and adulation of my peers to be able to feel good about myself because everything that I had learned from the sources outside of me told me I had no value. Even when I started with the educational system, everybody that had power, everybody that made life decisions looked other than me. In my community, people were so overcome with low self-esteem and low self-worth that we barely had people to infuse us with healthy ideas and images of ourselves. So I had no way to combat those negative influences. And so being in a powerful stream, I went with the flow and I was maneuvered into those coping mechanisms, drugs, alcohol, and several other things, man, that made me make bad decisions, brother. At the time, they seemed bad, but Allah says in the Quran, we plan and Allah plans, and Allah is the best of planners.
Yes,
So
sir.
as a result of some choices that I felt like I was influenced into, because it's factors and decisions, uh, I ended up going to prison and doing a massive amount of time. So, man, all the struggles that we endure in them communities, brother, like it's times when utilities ain't right. It's times when we ain't got food. It's times for all of that. And then we see our parents struggle and they trying to overcome the psychological hurdles that have been embedded in them that make them believe that they're incapable of addressing certain things effectively. And so we just operated in survival mode. And in that mode and trying to seek relief, I chose some unhealthy coping mechanisms, hustling, getting high, and those things that led me to the prison system.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you hear me
And
good?
yes, sir. Yeah, I can hear you good, but you coming in like a little low. But if you can
I'm
speak up
trying
just a
to
little bit.
I'm trying to speak up. This volume is not loud over here. Maybe I need to do I have to turn the speaker on? I don't know. It's loud. I mean, this is loud as the volume go. It's everybody saying, "Talk, get an iPhone, get an iPhone."
Oh yeah, man. You gotta come up with modern technology,
Bro,
brother.
I like
But
them.
that's
I
good.
like them. It's crazy because the reason why I have an affinity for Galaxies is because that's the first phone that I had when I came home.
Oh, actually, it's just to say that you echoing. Do you have any other devices on outside of your phone?
Let me see. Let me see.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So I want to thank you all for joining. We sitting there with Mataka. He spent 23 and a half years behind the walls, and brother got an incredible story, a lot of information to share. He was able to read a lot of books. Brother have a lot of information, and in light of COVID and what's going on in
Yes,
this
sir.
world.
I'm gonna disconnect this Bluetooth.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay. Yes, sir. Um, in light of
Okay,
COVID.
the Bluetooth is done.
Okay, that's better then. Okay, okay, that's a lot better. That somebody said, there you go, right there. Okay,
Okay.
all right, and then okay, Justin Morgan, he the tech man right there, man. He said, pick up the phone. Think when he's sitting in is covering up the mic. Oh, okay, yeah, you might want to pick the phone up and hold it a little bit too. That brother, that tech man right there, he know, man. That's Justin Morgan, man, the great
okay, tech man, we need you, brother. You need to teach a class to the brothers in the joint because we come up out of them prisons and like we still on pencil and paper.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So that's a lot clearer right there. Okay. So let's get into it, man. So you spent 23 years behind the wall. And when did you get out? How long you been out?
I've been out a couple of years, a little bit over 2 years. It's been a major transition, brother.
Okay. And so I know when I came out, I didn't do 23 years. I only did 7 years. But when I came out, I remember, coming from high school, coming out of prison, when I came out, the world looked it so damn different. And I can imagine that was in 7 years. I can imagine how the world looked in 23 years when you come out, man. It's iPhones, it's iPads, it's iPods, and it's like a whole nother world. How was that adjustment? Like coming out to see that, and you have to survive in another world. Even though I know some of that stuff is leaked over in the prison now, because maybe brothers caught some of my cousins coming from cell phones. I'm like, how the hell you get a cell phone in penitentiary? But that's a whole other story right there, though.
It is a whole other story.
But man, how did you adjust? Coming up out of that, what was that adjustment process like for you?
So you said how was adjusting for me in the past tense, brother? I'm still adjusting.
Right.
So hey, listen, this technology is an issue for me. I read and I studied a lot, so I would like to think that I have an average intelligence that allows me to comprehend things. Man, brother, it's been a struggle. I can't type, but the organization I work for, they recognize the worth and the value I bring to the table. So they made a couple of accommodations. So when I enter my notes, I use talk to text. I have to go back and spell check. That's one thing I can do from reading. I can spell pretty good. So
right.
It's been trouble, brother, paying these bills online, setting up, doing applications online, like all of that stuff. Was an obstacle for me, and in a lot of ways it still is. But I'm learning. There's things I know about technology I didn't know. But like I honestly I have like a fear of it to a degree, because it's unfamiliar territory. But what I know is, I heard a saying that said a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there. You have to lean into that discomfort and challenge it. So, and that's me. That's my mindset. Like I don't like to be intimidated by stuff, especially if it's an intellectual challenge.
Right. And that's a fear. Not only of people that have been to prison, that's a fear of a lot of people. A lot of elders have that fear. This fear of technology. I remember back in probably the late 90s, early 2000s, when I got my first email. And man, I swear, the brother who set my email up, it was on Hotmail. I swear I called him at least 50 times. Like, man, how the hell I get into this thing again? Like, I had no clue how to get into that email. It was a challenge. And over the years, technology has been a challenge because it's evolving so fast. And when you master today, hell, 6 months later, it's something else.
Obsolete.
Man, it's like, man, now you got to get your mind on something else. And it's amazing that young people nowadays, these children these days, I said they was breastfeeding on technology because our babies can pick it up 2 years old. They get on this thing and just master it because their mind is already wired in this techno world. Like, you know what I'm saying? But okay, so it was a challenge coming out technology, but what about socially? Like, so technology has altered the way, the social climate. Things are a lot different. It's still, the hood is still the hood. The cities are still the cities. but they have been altered somewhat socially. How was the social, getting yourself back and readjusting socially? How was that part for
So
you with your family and things like that?
so not only has society been altered socially, but after 23 and a half years on a plantation in an active war zone, I was altered socially too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was altered socially. Brother, I started to, I wasn't born in prison. So, I knew some of what society had, You know how they say when we coming up in the streets, the game don't change, just the players,
Right.
So, the same mindset was there, I assumed, but it was different for me. So after living in an environment where I had witnessed and been a part of so much stuff for so long, brother, right? I came home and I started to have these feelings of an impending doom about to occur, right? Can you still hear me?
Yes, sir.
So, brother, I didn't really understand what it was at the time, right? I didn't know what it was. I was like, it's just some adjustment stuff. And so one day, man, my daughter's mom and I, brother, I got out in August of 2018, so it was still kind of warm outside. So in September, late August, early September, we went to see that movie Night School with Tiffany Haddish and Kevin Hart. So we going in these theaters, right? Now I'm fresh out of prison, brother, not a month, right? So I'm still in my prison mind. I had to develop an acute sense of awareness in order to be safe in an environment, man, that could go from, as they say, 0 to 100 quickly,
Right.
right? So your
Right.
senses had to be in a heightened state of awareness all the time. Your safety and your life and the lives of your friends depended on it. So when I came home, I still was in that mindset. That was almost a quarter of a century of that. I still was in that mindset. So we in this movie theater. I'm trying to enjoy this movie, brother. My spider sense going crazy, danger everywhere. So I got these people sitting behind me. I got these people sitting around me. I got these people sitting in front of me. Everybody laughing and enjoying the movie. So in my natural desire to be safe, I look around and try to survey the scene. And I see these guys over here. They got hoodies on, brother. Hoodies, right? So as I'm looking at these guys in these hoodies, right, I'm tripping. They over here laughing at the movie, brother. I'm going crazy. Like, why they got these hoodies on? So I reach over to my daughter's mom and I touch her and I'm like, look, I don't know what's going on, man. These guys over here, they got these hoodies on. Something ain't right. We might have to be prepared to make a quick exit. She looked at me. She said, Mataka, they got hoodies on because it's cold in here.
Right.
Brother. My senses were so heightened and I was so impending doom. They call that hypervigilance. It's an inability to feel safe. I had started to realize, man, that I had started to have these unhealthy experiences with the community because I came home from prison with a prison mind in a society that wasn't prison. So as a result of that, I could, brother, I got my own apartment. I slept on the futon in my front room so that I could watch the door for a whole year before I even slept in my bedroom, right? So it was a profound psychological adjustment. So I wanted to know what was wrong with me. That was the thing that started me to studying in prison, man. I didn't try to acquire no knowledge so I could weaponize it or joust or use it as an ego-driven thing to say I know more than you, so that way I could feel good about myself. These false sense of selves we give ourselves to look to feel good, right? I started my path to self-discovery because I knew I wasn't dumb. So what was I doing sitting in prison with all this time? How did I get here? What were the factors that influenced my thinking? Why did I fall victim to those influential factors? So my path began with me studying and understanding myself. And the most beneficial element of that was of course, man, the primary influence in my life is Brother Malcolm, right? He's the primary influence in my life. And of course, Brother Malcolm is a product of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so it's that know thyself. That was the purpose for me studying and me trying to figure out what was going on with me as far as adjustments. It was the same premise. I needed to know what was going on with me. So I did a little studying. And I don't like to attach myself to no labels because Black people don't do that mental health stuff, And to us, mental health look like crazy. So we
Right.
don't understand how we have, as a result of our entire experience in America, operate in a state of collective dysfunctionality. We'll be quick to dismiss mental health as an issue, but when we see the issues going on in our community, we don't accurately know how to define them, so we can't develop the solutions to try to change the conditions we struggle with because we don't look at it in through certain lenses. So when I was trying to figure out what was going on with me, brother, I did some study and I came across this thing, post-incarceration syndrome. Bro, I'm from the north side of St. Louis. I don't want to hear nothing about no mental health. I'm a black man. My ancestors pushed through and we still here. So I didn't want to hear that. But when I started reading some of the stuff, right, I was like, man, I do struggle with that to a degree as a result of coming home, being in prison 23 years and coming home. So I did a Facebook Live on it. Brother Ghazi, so many brothers reached out to me privately. Top, man, dude, I feel you. So I started to realize, man, that brothers appeared to be doing good, but internally, like they were suffering.
Right.
Like in one wrong move, one thing could trigger and undo everything that they had built up. So, man, I started to talk to brothers. We started to develop these communications. We wanted to have a safe space where brothers could talk about anything with no judgment. And we offer our collective experiences to try to help brothers get past certain stages that they were at, right? Not only that, brother, I advocated so hard, right? That I got the Missouri Department of Mental Health to acknowledge post-incarceration syndrome as a thing and create a training manual on it. Man, brother, that was a good accomplishment for me and for my people.
Right.
Right, for my people. And so I started studying trauma-informed care, all of this stuff, man. But this is nothing more than European terminology that speaks to what it is that we have been suffering from, man, since we've been in this country in the form of slaves, brother, and all the ensuing trauma, man, from slavery all the way down to this very moment.
Right. And I think that's a good point, brother, because I think about myself, right? So I've been home from prison 20, I got out 95, 25 years. But still to this day, if I go out to a restaurant with my wife, I will never leave my food on that table and go use the bathroom and go, no, I'm eating all my food first. Then I'm gonna go if I gotta use the bathroom or gotta do anything. I would never, because I remember when I was in Farmington, I seen the guy get up and leave his tray, and some guys spiked his drink. They put some in his drink, and that guy he got mental issues on a whole nother level right now. And because I witnessed that, it's in my mind like, don't leave your food here for somebody, even though you're around people you trust. It's still in my mind. It's so entrenched. It's just a habit. And for a long time, you eat, in a certain way, you go on yourself. To this day, I still, when I go to the restaurant, how the waiter say, we're gonna sit you right here. I'm observing the atmosphere. I still gotta say, no, ma'am, I'm not sitting there. Can I sit right there, please?
Back to the wall.
You hear me? Like to this day, and that's so entrenched. Now, that's so important because that trauma. So we deal with the trauma of prison, but so many people deal with trauma, whether it's rape, molestation, abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, whatever kind of trauma they deal with, and they still traumatized. We think we normal. Like brothers come out in prison, they look normal, they talk normal, but boy, something going on the inside. But it's the same way with every kind of trauma. When you come through that, you may appear to be normal, but it alters you. It alters you psychologically. It alters you spiritually. It alters you emotionally. It shifts something in you that will never be the same. And you can either grow from that, or you can either progress, or you can digress from that. But it will affect you. Real talk.
It'll paralyze you, brother. It'll paralyze you. But let me tell you something. When you talk about isolation, I started to develop a consultation firm to teach people who ain't never spent no time in the hole or in penitentiary how you survive a pandemic where you on house arrest. Man, please.
Right.
You hear me, brother? Please,
right.
Brother. I got access to information. I got the web. I got food. So, like, what was a struggle to some people, the lifestyle that I had lived for 20 some odd years had preparing me to deal with something like that. And so, like, when you talk about isolation, let me tell you what isolation did for me. Real isolation. It forced me to have to look at myself, right? And sometimes the stuff that I found wasn't ugly. And I knew that because, man, my life had been cut off from certain experiences, that I would not have the exposure to the things that were designed to stimulate me and create maturity in me. So I had to go inside and do some internal stimulation and cultivate myself from the inside out. And so
Right.
isolation for me, bro, was an opportunity to know myself and grow. But I understand we live in a world that's so distracting and people's minds are pulled in ultimate ways, in multiple ways. And so when they get an opportunity to just settle down, they crave activity because they've been conditioned to think that that's life. And people don't know how to take time and discover who they are in the quietness, in the silence, when they don't have those things that are designed to distract them. You know, it's multiple scriptural and spiritual verses throughout time that tell us, right, that the secret to self-discovery and self-development is internal. It's internal. Brother, one thing that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm and brothers have taught me is that we have been so conditioned to externalize our consciousness, looking for the divinity outside of us before we look for the divinity inside of us. When you're looking for that power outside you that gives you purpose and meaning, without the proper guidance, if that power is an unrighteous power, then you fall victim to behavior shaping systems that are designed to exploit you and keep you functioning beneath your divine potential. So we have been the victims of systems that are designed, man, to take us away and train us away from our nature and use us to benefit other people. It was only when I had that time in isolation and I took myself inside myself and realized the divinity inside of me, right? And then harmonized it with the external divinity that I began to grow and have the power to transform my mind and my behavior. It's
Wow.
only then. That's why
And
the verse say in the Bible, be still and know that I'm God. And we jumping around, singing, doing cartwheels, and none of that stuff. It's in
yeah.
that stillness, that quietness when you go into yourself that you realize your divinity.
And man, I'm gonna tell you, that is so powerful. I was blessed to interview a brother last week, or maybe a week or two ago, a young hip hop artist from St. Louis, B Type, and he said to me, he said, brother, COVID, because he contracted the coronavirus, and he had to quarantine himself in his basement, and his wife and children upstairs. He stayed in the basement for 14 days. But he made a statement to me that shocked me, but it speaks to what you're saying right now. Brother Ghazi, this coronavirus was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. And I'm thinking like, huh? I'm thinking that when he said that, I'm thinking of the hundreds of thousands that was killed because of the coronavirus, what they say, right? I don't know, the connection with that, if they was killed for other health reasons, whatever, but what the stats say, right? But when he said that to me, what he said was, he said, because this was the first time in a long time I had time to sit down and reflect on my life. He said, man, it's the first time that I actually prayed. I read a book. He said, man, now I'm looking at myself now. He said, when I got coronavirus, it forced me to look at myself. So I started looking at a higher purpose. The mentors say this was a pestilence, right? So I started looking at like a deeper purpose. Even though a lot of people are dying, on the flip side, it's forcing many people to do what you just said, to look at themselves. But unfortunately, with all the distractions, people in the house trying to figure out how to be distracted more. What kind of gadget they can hook up to, what kind of social media they could, you know what I'm saying? Rather than go within, rather than reflect and really study themselves. But let's see, Carlos, yeah, man, that's the boy Carlos. He said,
Hey,
man, that's deep and
Carlos, what's
powerful,
up,
man.
bro?
He said, teach, brother, he was another brother that was, in them camps together. We all experienced the rites of passage together long time ago. The urban rites of passage for many young black men and going to prison. We were all teenagers. How old were you when you first went to prison?
Young man, in my teens.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah,
Young
yeah.
man, hey, it's crazy. And you said like a rite of passage. Hey, I remember the first time I went to juvenile, right? And I came home and I was standing on the front, and everybody know that I had been to juvenile. They knew that I had been to juvenile. So I'm on my front and I'm chilling. And the old guys came up, man, you good, you good. I felt like, man, yeah, I'm a soldier. I just survived 2 days in Vanderbilt and right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like somehow that qualified me. Just had to decline that call. They qualified me like I was a warrior or something. But man, brother, that's a distorted form of thinking, man. And it speaks to the fact, man, that through the process of stripping us of our identity, we have had these things put in place of those healthy developmental formulas that are absolutely designed to destroy us, man. Just destroy us. Like we
Right.
destroy us. And people have forgotten um, the, the program that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and hey man, I tell people all the time, you know, Pac my favorite rapper. I say, man, people be talking about they love Pac, but it wouldn't be no Pac if it wasn't for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because Tupac, right, Malcolm X came from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Black Panthers came from attaching themselves to the ideologies that Malcolm X espoused. And Afeni Shakur was a Black Panther, and so was Matulu, and it was in that atmosphere that Tupac Amaru Shakur was born. And so when we identify with him and we look at him and we talk about how great he is, man, that greatness comes from a bunch of shaping and molding that goes generations back. And we're not going to let them wipe our people out of history who have contributed to those people who have been the shapers and molders, right, of the people who we look up to and admire today.
Right, real talk,
so
real talk.
Ain't nobody gonna write our people out. It's our turn now.
Yeah, right. Right, real talk, man. So let's, so let's move on. Okay, so you very articulately, talked about the trauma, coming from prison, that traumatic period. But then, okay, so now, you didn't have any children prior to prison, right? Okay, so I seen recently, I've gone through your Facebook page. I seen you had your baby girl. So how was that? Because now you're a father. That's a whole other level of the game right there. It wakes up another side of your humanity now. Now you're a father, and how was that right there? What effect having your daughter? What effects was that on you? Because a lot of brothers out here who've been out, right? People don't know when you go to prison and you're away from just the smallest things, you learn to appreciate. Man, I remember when I came home. You know what? Hey, brother, you know what? I seen the damn dog. I was so happy to see that dog, man. And I'm talking about, I remember coming out, I'm like, man, like a damn rock wall or something, right? But I was just so happy because I ain't seen the dog in so long. I'm like, damn, it's the little thing. I seen the squirrel. I appreciated seeing the squirrel because it's the little things that you miss. You like stuff that you never pay attention to, but when it's gone, you miss it. But now you got a daughter now. Now you're a father now. So how does that play in terms of your healing, in terms of your development, in terms of, overcoming certain traumas? And how do it play in dealing with your daughter with those traumas still? How does that play out?
It's a couple of things, man, with that. How you said, like, there is definitely that, man, we appreciate everything, like just coming out, seeing trees, anything. But there's also the element of becoming desensitized to stuff too. Right? Mm-hmm. Like you feel like, hey man, I've been gone from my family and I know that's my family, but I feel like can't nobody relate to me. So it's a sense of disconnectedness. Right. Right. And so in a lot of ways, brother, our feelings have been numbed over because we've had to divorce ourselves from thinking and feeling like that in that environment to survive. Right. 20 some odd years I was like that. So when I came home, like I had an understanding and a concept of emotional attachment and love. And, like I knew in my mind what it was supposed to look like, but the emotional feeling didn't register. Right? It didn't register. Brother, when I had my daughter, it's like all that just opened up. Man, brother, like you say, man, people don't know our history, right? Bro, we grew up in them streets. I wasn't ready to be a father then, right? I'd have been in the joint. My daughter would have been raised. It wasn't for me then. And I used to walk the yard with my guys all the time. I was light skinned in the 80s. I was popping. I'm saying that to say, brother, like I never used protection when I was intimate with women. So I thought that I couldn't have children. But when I came home, and I had my daughter. So let me just tell you, my daughter's name. So my birth name is Michael Eames. Like people who know me know that. My daughter's mom and I. So we named our daughter Zola, Xola, which comes from the South African Xhosa tribe, which means to stay in peace. Of course, it's a homage to Malcolm and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that had started it off. That had to be part of it, right? I have to pay homage and give respect to the people who are instrumental in me transforming my life, and I never forget about it. And I ain't gonna let nobody badmouth them or write them out of history. And then Askari, which is my last name. So Askari in a lot of ways means, a lot of people loosely translate it as soldier or warrior, but in essence, etymologically, it means spear bearer, one who protects the village, right? That's our job. And so my daughter got that name because I did not want to name her an English name or none of that stuff, because that would have been a betrayal of everything that I've been blessed and had the opportunity to go through and come out with a better form of thinking, I would like to say. But as far as emotionally, oh man, dude, I got to be like, listen, I know brothers gonna have an issue with this, but I think I'm the greatest father in human history. I do. So my baby, 15 months old. When I prayed, I asked the Creator and the ancestors, whoever was sitting in the ancestral realm, waiting to come so they could get these lessons. Right, whoever needed to come and get these lessons so that they could achieve their reunification with the divine source from which we've emerged. I said, listen, I needed to manifest as a girl. I wanted a daughter because of my nieces. Love them. Right. And I love my daughter. And so, like, we do everything together. Like, I'm just happy that I'm in a position to be able to provide for her financially in ways that I wasn't provided for. I'm able to spend the time, right? I don't have any type of vices that would prevent me from giving her the things that she needs in order to make sure that she has the healthiest upbringing possible. And with that, like the trauma and stuff, brother, I've been working on it. Like I'm getting better. I've been in my bedroom for about 3 months, bro. Let me tell you what happened. It's funny. So I was sleeping on that futon for a year back, killing me in the morning, killing me. One day, man, I was in my bedroom watching TV and I fell asleep. I woke up the next morning, my back wasn't hurt. I said, "Oh, it's a wrap." So like, I'm a trained at the door. Right. I said, I'm a trained watching the door for the relief of back pain. So right. I've been in there since, brother. And just it's just like our brains were trained because of prolonged exposure and living in that habitat for that long period of time. There are techniques you can do. You can meditate. You can do grounding. There's several things you can do. However, you have to readjust. And so through time, I'm getting reacclimated and I'm readjusting, and it's better, man. Like I take my minute, well, I was in the last couple of days up here. I know it's nice where you at. It was 60 degrees a couple of days ago. Like I take my daughter to the park, man. We ride. She loves, so we got a song. She's 15 months, bro. As soon as I go get her from daycare, we bump that Bill Withers "A Lovely Day." She be like, "Lovely day." That's her song. She loved that. So it's just me and her in her car seat, and we rolling. And so I'm blessed to be able to have this level of love in my life that I never knew, and it added a whole nother dimension in a way where it's beyond words. Like I can't even articulate. It's just deep.
Yeah, and man, I tell you, man, like our experiences are so similar. I remember when I was in them camps, you know, you spoke to something about you being there mentally, but you're not there emotionally. And it's how trauma does that. So intellectually, we can comprehend, but what trauma do, it really shifts us emotionally, because either when it's trauma, it's pain, it's hurt. So oftentimes we try to disconnect and distance ourselves from that pain and that hurt, right? So I remember when I was in them camps, because my family didn't really, you know, my mother and them, you know, she started dealing with drugs, or, you know, addicted to drugs. So she wasn't really there like I thought she should have been there for me, right? So I disconnected myself from the outside world. I had a few family members that would write me every now and then. You know, my little brother, he would come see me. He was a little baller. He would come in to see me. But other than that, I didn't get visits or none of that, right? So because of that, I disconnected myself emotionally from the outside world. And I started functioning like a robot. I moved, I talked, I read and things like that, but emotionally, I was damn near void. Like it became almost non-existent. So when I came home, I was like that for many years. And I believe, so I had a baby every year for the first 4 years when I came home. You know, I joke and tell people I had to make up for lost time, damn it, right? And I believe, and it's so deep because God knows what we need. You know, He blessed me with custody of all 4 of them children when they was babies. So I raised them. They was in my physical custody. We were just me and them. I was doing the cooking, the cleaning, the ironing clothes, the daycare, the doctor visits, the ear aches, the belly aches. That was all on me. I developed a lot of respect for women at that time. But what it did for me internally was it quickened in me that level of humanity that was robbed from me from the prison. You know, because I disconnected myself emotionally. At this point, again, I had to reconnect myself because I had other people in my care that it couldn't have been just me against the world. I had other people to love and to nurture and care about and be concerned about. So it quickened me. And I look back on that time, I'm like, man, God deep. Because I don't know if I would have survived intellectually. I had it. I had read all them books. I understood the world. I understood politics. I understood sociology, psychology. I understood all that intellectually. But human beings are not just intellect. We also emotions and we also spirit. You know what I'm saying? We can pray. I can make my salat. I can say my prayers and meditate. But emotionally, I was dysfunctional. And most crimes, most things that happen are not intellectual. It's not spiritual. It's emotional. When somebody shoots you, it's emotional. So if you don't have no balance with your emotions, that's a big part right there. If you don't know how to control them emotions, how to rise above them emotions into a higher level of thinking, that's a big part. Even though intellectually, you done read 1,000 books, 10,000 books. Even though intellectually, even though spiritually, you know how to pray, you know how to meditate, but emotionally, we dysfunctional. And many people right now in our communities, because of this kind of trauma right here, it affected us emotionally. And what we do is we go to a preacher or a pastor and just seek only spiritual advice. Or we go read a book and seek only intellectual advice, but we never address that emotional level. We never balance that side out. And we wonder why people with all this knowledge go and do a drive-by shooting like, damn, man, that boy's smart as hell. How you do that? Because he ain't got no control over the emotion, right? Yeah. So, man, that was a good point.
So there is an ancient Kemetic proverb that says emotions make good servants but poor masters. Good servants. Like we need emotions to be able to tap into that passion, to be able to move us, man, in ways when our intellect might burn out, when it don't make sense, right? So we have a second fuel tank to tap into to push us when sometimes we get tired up here. It's important, man, but anytime that the intellect is not balanced out with the emotions, right, then one of them is off base, right? So in most cases, like, we come from them environments where dudes, man, we even, we people love to debate, like they even weaponize knowledge, but that's born from that's born from a lack of a healthy esteem, right? Because we feel like we need to always exert ourselves over our peers to feel good. So, I mean, if it ain't the shoes, we ain't got all them clothes in the penitentiary. So the thing that people use in the penitentiary is who know this, who know that, who know that. I remember they used to talk to me about you all the time. Man, you know the brother, Yeah, hey, because you was showing out, brother. They like showing out, man.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, right, I use that to push me, right? I use that to push me, brother, because I had respect and adulation among my peers. I had this thirst for knowledge, and I had got caught up sometimes, like when we don't have that healthy identity, we're looking for things to attach ourselves to. And when we attach ourselves to certain things, brother, sometimes they're unhealthy. And even in the midst of all that information, I got maneuvered into the wrong things, and I started using it to debate and seeking out dudes to prove that they're wrong. Brother, I'm so far beyond that now because wrong and right is subjective. Listen, what might be right for you may not be right for me. But if it works for you and it gets you to your goals in a healthy way, man, I'm a proponent of it. Right. I definitely have certain things that I stand against clearly, right? But I'm not really ultra judgmental or none of that stuff, brother. So when we look at this, like the trauma, and you talk about the emotional element of it, man, we can normalize that stuff in our community. We operate in a state of collective dysfunction and trauma. You can see it, man. This dude, why you kill him? Oh man, he was looking at me crazy. He looked at you. He stepped on your shoes. You don't like them. So anytime, man, and then we do this stuff because we are the products of a conditioning that tell us that the only emotion that we allow to show that's approvable is anger. This is the thing that we use to intimidate people. This is the thing that is socially acceptable in our community. Because if you're a man and you cry, that's considered to be weak until we get old enough and mature enough to recognize that that's a healthy outlet for internal stuff that we have to going on that needs to be purged. That needs to be purged. So yeah, brother, the emotional thing is definitely something that we need to start addressing, man. And so let me tell you what the beauty of that is real quick. So I have this system I study, and just like you got a physical anatomy, right? If you want to build your pectoral muscles up, right, you don't do squats. So you do exercises, push-ups, or something that's designed to develop your chest, strengthen and define them. So a lot of times people don't really understand the difference between the intellectual vehicle, the emotional vehicle. What's the difference between the soul and the spirit? So as a person who understands working anatomy, you know how to identify certain elements of your physical being in order to strengthen and develop them individually and then bring them together harmoniously so you can be good, right? It's the same thing, brother. It's the same thing. Like we have a spiritual anatomy too, and our emotions are part of our spiritual anatomy. So there are certain exercises and spiritual practices that we can engage in to work with that too. We'll talk about that sometime later.
Yes, sir. Man, that's I'm gonna tell you, let's just look at some of these comments here. Mandriana McClure, she said, my brother Mataka. Let me see, Chrissy Uwuchuku. That's my sister from the motherland, man. Thank you for joining us, Chrissy. We got our sister Simkai Sarak, my sister from the ATL. She's St. Louis, now she in ATL. But Chrissy asked a question. She said, whatever happened to reformation in prison, that's always a joke. It was never designed to reform nobody. It's never in their best interest to reform. But I do remember when I was locked up, I do remember that you could get a degree, but even the degree wasn't designed to reform you. It wasn't designed to reform you and it was something, brothers coming out of prison with degrees, but damn it, you couldn't get a job because, they say, when you go get the application, they say, have you ever been convicted of a felony? And then you put that down, it'd be like rough as heck. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I want to talk about something that you said earlier about because we grow. Like I remember, the Bible said like this. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, thought as a child, understood as a child, right? When I became a man, I put away childish ways. And something happened to me recently. I remember when my oldest son, Kapani, who he just had a baby. My granddaughter was just born today, my oldest boy. And I was blessed to have my child, my latest child, Lil Ghazi Jr., a couple of days ago on the 10th. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a proud father always. People say, "Oh, you a new father?" No, I ain't no new father. I got a new child. I've been a father for a long time. So I ain't new at that. I've been a father 30 years, right? 30 plus years. But I do have a new child. But I remember talking to him, and I remember a conversation we had years ago when they was younger, and where my views were at. And I was so adamant because I thought I was absolutely right. And you said something, right or wrong is subjective, right? So I thought I was right. And at that time, on that level of development, I was right where I was at. But it wasn't the absolute rightness, though. Because now as I grew as a man, as I'm growing now as a father, I seen now my advice is totally different. And I'm thinking, and then he brought it up to me. You remember when I was younger, you said this. I'm like, wow. And I remember if you disagree with me at that time, I was so firm on what I believe. Like, damn it, you better listen to what I'm saying. I'm gonna smack, you know what I'm saying? But now when you grow, it taught me a valuable lesson in that though. What we hold so true today. When I was a child, I thought like that. When I was younger, and I was a child, I mean not physically a child, but lack of development, lack of maturity, ain't no doubt. Yeah. But you mature and you grow. You should be always maturing and growing, right? And as we grow and mature, things that we hold so adamant today, like certain perceptions, we change tomorrow. And I'm not talking about morality because it's certain things, good and bad. I don't give a damn. I'm a child of 50 years old. I'm still gonna be like, hell no, with that right there. Yeah, but certain perceptions, ain't no doubt. And so let's talk about that a little bit. And let me see. Carlos say, right is not truth. Ain't no doubt. Ain't no doubt. That's real talk.
So there are different types of truths. There is an objective truth and a subjective truth. Your subjective truth is your personal experience that impacts you in a way that moves you forward from your experience. It may be different from somebody else. Hey, me and you go outside. To me, it's chilly, right? To you, it's not. So my truth is my interaction with the weather is making me a little cold. You telling me it's not, right? This is my truth. It's the truth. I'm chilly. You're not. So how do we get these subjective truths, right? How do we take these truths as they impact us differently individually as we interact with the environment? Like you would tell your son, boy, it's cold out here. Go put on a jacket. Daddy, I ain't cold. To you, though, It's cold, and we impose our subjective truths and experiences on other people, right? And argue against them. So if we have these two different subjective truths, how do we reconcile these and come together in a way that allows us to accept each other's truths and move forward and interact with them the way it's designed to? So if I say it's chilly and you say it's not, that puts us in opposition to each other. But we both can agree if we measure it quantifiably, let's go look at the thermometer. It's 62 degrees. So we have a way that we can quantify subjective truths and make them into objective truths where we harmonize or respect each other's different experiences, right? In a way where we don't try to superimpose or impose or oppress other people with our truths. And so that's part of growing. I think it was Layla Ali. I want to quote this right, brother. She said that Muhammad Ali said that it's either 20. I'm going to quote it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. The person who sees the world at 50, the same as they did at 30, has lost 20 years of life. Bro, we don't want to lose no life. Life is a beautiful thing, and it's a continuous lesson. Naeem Akbar said a long time ago in Miseducation and Education, he said the school of thought we in, or was it Imam Wardin Muhammad? One of them said the school of thought that we in, we don't graduate from, we graduate in degrees, because life is our school, you know? And absolutely, brother, I got some views that I had when I was in my 20s that at the age I am now, I definitely don't have those anymore. So, and you know, the beauty of that, brother, is that you recognize growth. A lot of people don't have ways to quantify growth. You've got to be able to know that you're growing. You've got to be able to measure the fact that you're moving forward. Some people don't have ways to determine that they have been benefited from life in a way that they've grown and changed positions. And so just the ability to recognize that is a miraculous thing. Should be miracles as a people.
Man, that's real talk. And, you know, unfortunately, you know, too many people, they quantify growth by material things, only on a physical level, you know. I grew, you know, look, I'm better because I got a big house. I'm better because I got a car. I'm better because I got that. So we keep it on the physical level instead of, but as a human being, now physical growth is good. If you grow materially and you start getting material things, ain't nothing wrong with that. That's lovely. You're supposed to have the best that this world and life has to offer. However, if it's not balanced out with internal growth, then you'll just be a damn fool in a big house. You'll be a crazy ass person with a nice car. That's all that'll be. You'll be unbalanced, you know, with your benzo. You know, so if you ain't growing on the inside, and that's why we see so many people who have so much, and we wonder, like, look at the people who commit suicide, who got what we think is everything. You're like, how the hell can you got a big house, you a star, you this, you that. How the hell can you kill yourself? Because on the inside, it wasn't no growth. I grew materially. I grew on the outside. I grew in material things, but I didn't grow up emotionally. I didn't grow up intellectually. I didn't grow up here. You know, my heart is still a void there. You know, I'm still emotionally unbalanced. And so many of us, what we do, we try to use things to fill that void, to fill that emptiness, and it don't work like that. I'm going to tell you something, man. Something I learned about relationships, because what you said, we need to take that to relationships, not just individuals, but can you imagine if men and women take the position that you just said about that subjective truth and objective truth and come to that happy medium, like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's people's truths, and most arguments, it's only a different matter of opinion. It's a perception. All it is like experience, based on experience. And I see it different. You know what I'm saying? I know it's a saying in the Native American culture that says you cannot judge a man unless you walk in their moccasins. You know, you can't judge unless you walk in their moccasins. So I don't know. I can't say you wrong, because that's your experience, right? You can't say I'm wrong. This is my experience, right? But both of us, based on our experience, we have something unique to bring to the table. So, man, let's get up. I mean, let's delve more into that subjectiveness, because a lot of people right now, relationships, problems, parental problems, and to work problems. And a lot of it be a matter of perception based on your damn experience. And you are mad, you arguing, you frustrated, you upset, and you thinking that they are ungrateful, they're not listening, they hard-headed, even with our children. You know, we try to impose on them our experience. And I'm gonna say this because I want you to get into this, because I know you're finna go there. But look at what I used to do. When my sons was younger, when I was a single dad, I used to, because my experience was hard. My experience was, my mother, her boyfriend was hustlers, and my mother was rough, and we came up in them hoods, right? So that was my experience. So my sons, I remember when they would hurt themselves, and they be crying. I didn't give them no compassion. Boy, you better shake that. Boy, you a soldier, boy. We don't cry around here, boy. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I mean, man, the boy arm damn near falling off. I say, boy, walk it off. Boy, we soldiers, right? Because I came up like this. Nobody did. What no compassion.
And teaching them to suppress a
Real
natural reaction, brother,
right?
And telling them that it's not okay to do that, right? So we start conditioning them, right, to suppress their feelings internally. And then when you internalize all that stuff and it blows up and you don't have a healthy outlet and we already have trouble controlling our emotions, it blows up like a balloon. And then when you hear the pop, it's too late.
Right, right.
It's too late, brother. One thing you said, though, I want to be, you right, like the material things. So it's a balance, as you said, because, you know, like as a people, we have been conditioned. Certain scriptures have been pulled out and heightened and highlighted for the purpose of making us suffer in a content manner. Like somehow righteousness is tied with poverty. No, sir.
Right.
Yeah,
Real
no,
talk.
sir. No, sir. You want to be hungry, but you praying, right, to a God that is the master of the universe and has all resources, but he won't give you a salad. That doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
Yeah, no. Right. We want to just dismiss that idea that somehow it's righteousness in poverty. That's not how it is.
Right.
We can look at multiple spiritual systems and see that we're supposed to get the things that we need in order to survive. However, like you said, mistakenly, we attach our sense of self-esteem to those things. So the difference between esteem and worth is self-esteem is what you estimate your value to be. Self-worth is your actual value. When you externalize your consciousness, you let the world shape and mold you and tell you what your value is or isn't. And so we develop our esteem, our estimations of ourselves based on material things in our community. And somehow, right? So now that you had all these gold chains, you hustled and killed people for it, right? Now that platinum is, if you ain't got this gold, somehow you are lame and it devalues who you are. That's the mindset that we have as a people. And it's crazy, brother. But like when one of the things that I'm learning as a parent, me and my daughter's mom, she's younger than me. She's 36. So I come from that era you come from, right? Don't do this, don't do that. I don't want you to be in danger. But my daughter's mom remind me all the time, like, let her explore. Let her explore. We right here to protect her. So the things, some of the parenting styles that had impacted me, some of those things that had impacted me, I noticed them in my parenting style. But my daughter's mom, she's been in daycare. She's owned a daycare center. So she has different experiences and different learning strategies. Her truth and my truth are different, right? And so I sit back and I open myself up to learning a different truth. And as I see it and I'm watching it, man, I'm watching my daughter grow. Right. So I want to be able to do different learning experiences and watching other people to be able to learn things that can help me undo some of the trauma and bad ideas that I have embraced, that without that openness to learn new stuff, I transmit to my child and they'll still be impacted by the same unhealthy stuff. And I'll be sending multi-generational and transgenerational trauma down the pipeline. I don't want to do that. So one thing that I have been fortunate enough to do is I pray that I'm always open to learning and discussion. And I try with all that I can do, brother, to understand the other person's perspective. Now, you know, certain things are outside of our experiential scope. We can't carry life inside our wombs for 9 months. We just can't do it. Right, that's outside. However, there are other things that we can connect to and relate to, right? And when you begin to stop thinking that your way is the absolute way and you open yourself up to other people, then you start to learn and grow on a different level.
Right. Man, absolutely. I'm telling you, brother, you know, so for the parents out there who think you know it all, who think you just the absolute best parent in the world, understand that if you're not growing, you're doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your children a disservice, you're doing your family, our community a disservice. Because I'm telling you, brother, I thought that, you know, I didn't think I was a bad parent, nothing like that. You know, when it was just me and my children. But when I look back on it, it was so many mistakes that I made, and I thought I was right and exact. I was trying to prepare my sons for a world that they didn't exist in. See, I grew up. I didn't know my father until I was 14 years old, right? So I survived the world absent my father, right? My children, since from birth, I'm there. They there with me, but I'm trying to prepare them for a world that wasn't their world. So I'm trying to pose this on them, and it's causing confusion in them. It's like, well, that ain't our, you know, you know what I'm saying? Because that ain't what I was saying. The truth was not reinforced by the environment that they was in. You know, there was no harmony with what I was saying with what they was experiencing. I'm like, well, watch out. It's going to be gunshots out there. It's going to be this, that. I came up around that. I heard gunshots. I seen murders coming up. They're like, what were you talking about? You know, no, y'all can't go there. Somebody might get killed. They said, we going skating to have fun. I'm like, no, because I remember Twin got killed at skating rink when I was a young boy. You know what I'm saying? So all that's in my mind, I'm opposing that on them. They're like, well, daddy, we just want to go have fun. I'm saying, no, ain't no fun there.
For you, it's a safety issue.
Real talk.
And you know, one thing that I've learned that's been so I've had the opportunity to work with some of the young brothers in the community. Hey man, one thing that I know as adults, when you say we think we know it all, we tend to be dismissive of the voice of the young people. Man, listen, I don't care how old they are, listen to them.
Real talk.
Because sometimes children and younger people speak free from the conditionings that rob us of our true identity.
Right.
And it's in being in touch with them, they're still in touch with their true essence. Right. And when they speak, we think because we've been through a few more years of life that somehow they don't know what they're talking about, but they are still in touch with their true selves in a lot of ways that we are not. Right. We have to listen. That's one thing that our experiences teach us. Not to do. Why do you do this? I'm grown. Grown. First of all, grown implies a state of completion, like you do growing. All of us are growing. Ain't nobody grown. We all grow in.
Real talk.
So as we take and embrace that mentality, right, that allows us, hey man, we have to listen to the young people. One of the things that we did, they had a bunch of killings up here in Columbia last year, like between September and October. Last year, and so nobody was thinking about the children and how they were impacted. So we had an opportunity to get one of the high schools and bring a few dudes together who I've been to the joint with, and we did a processing session with the children. How do you feel? How can we better serve you all? What can we do? Tell us what you're scared of. What can we do? Tell us what we need to do. Because like we don't have all the answers. What do you all think we need to do? Right? And we need to listen to our children. Mm-hmm. We need to, because like they feel like because we provide for them and we can shut up, go in your room. That type of stuff got to go, bro. We have to get rid of that slave mindset that feel like because we are older or we're physically more powerful or we're providing that somehow we take this ultimate authoritarian position and you ain't supposed to question me, no matter how illogical it sounds.
Right, you crazy as hell with your traumatized self.
You
right.
Me to tell my child to suppress their natural curiosity for a question that I can't answer by saying, "Man, because I see it so, and I'm grown, and I'm the one paying bills." What? No, you ain't gonna accept that.
Right.
Think how that felt when you was treated like that. Mm-hmm. So what we have to do is start opening up the channels of communication for our children. But not only opening up the channels, we gotta listen for instruction. And wisdom, because in a lot of ways they still connected to their true selves, whereas society has trained us away from our nature.
Man, you on it, boy. That's some, hey, brother.
Babes come wisdom, brother.
Man, that's some good teaching, brother. I'm telling you. So, I'll be transparent, brother. I was traumatized for many years of my parent life. That's how I parent, boy. Because I said so. Because my mama, boy, shut up. Because I said so, right? But now, as I get older, you know, children nowadays are a little sassy, and they talk back, and they real logical, and they quick with it. You be thinking like, damn, I can't even defeat the argument, right?
And you know why they sassy? Because they tired of oppression. Man, our ancestors sending stuff down the pipeline through their DNA and their spiritual DNA. Man, listen, they don't care who you are. If you operate in the form of an oppressive capacity, parent, teacher, extended community, or otherwise, their natural instinct in response to everything that we've gone through is to question and challenge. It don't make no sense. Right. And so, man, we want to foster and encourage that spirit in a healthy and productive way. We don't want to teach our children to acquiesce in the face of what is perceived authority when it ain't no justification to do so. You teaching them to bow down to white people, didn't you?
Right. Yeah.
You're teaching them that submit, because I said so and I'm the power. That's not a logical, healthy way to raise children, man, and to be able to produce the generations that we need, brother.
Right. And man, I'm gonna tell you. So let's look at some of these comments. Chrissy say, "No healthy outlet for our emotions greatly impact relationships with others." Absolutely, no doubt that. And Carlos said, "Thank you, brothers. I really needed that." Let me see. Mandriana say, "That's right. I had to change how I parent." And that's absolutely true. You know, one time I was in the church, man, when it was a brother was killed up here in Phoenix through police brutality. A black brother killed by white police officers. And it was like a big rally. And, you know, we went to a rally, and I had a younger brother with me. And you know how they get, you know, tell people to get the mic and they want you to express yourself. Well, this brother got, you know, when he got up to talking, he was cussing, right? And we in the church, right? And he like, man, these motherfuckers, I mean, you know, the brother going there, right? So the elders in the church, they're like, hey, young man, hold on. You in the house of the Lord. Don't be doing that cussing and stuff like that. He said, oh, shit, my bad. That's fucked up. He said, oh, man. His natural expression is a cuss, right? But the preacher of the church, who was the head preacher, he did something that blew my mind, man. He got up, he stopped the young man for a minute. He got up on the mic and he said, elders, I know this the church. And we grew up having a certain degree of reverence for the quote unquote house of the Lord. He said, however, one thing that we are not allowing is our children to express themselves the way they want to express themselves, the way they know how to express themselves, and not listening. He say, so young man, now he the pastor, this is church. He said, young man, I want you to say it the way you say it, and let's listen to what he got to say. And the young, he got the cussing again. He was trying to hold back because they kind of made him think like it was bad to be himself, which we can't grow up and mature in the way we express ourselves, but that's the level that he exists on, right? And that pastor was saying, I want you to say it the way you know how to say it. And I want us to listen. And do you know, after that, some of them young people that was in that rally, they joined their brother church. They had no intent on coming to no church, right? From that one thing, because he looked at them and he accepted them for where they were without condemning, without judging. He didn't put them down. He didn't ostracize them. He said, no, come as you are. And that's how God, you can come as you are. You can't stay like that, though. You got to grow. But you can come any kind of way you are, right?
Brother Ghazi, we got to meet people where they at, brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, real talk.
We got to meet them where they at, right? And then we go and meet them where they at. And then we try to encourage them to do better, man, by asking them, what's better for you, right? If better for them is, well, I want to sell dope. Why do you want to sell dope? Because I want to get these material things. So the drug selling is a medium to get you to these things that you feel would help you do better. So if we can eliminate that and create a healthier route to you acquiring these things that you feel you want to have, can we do that? So what we do is we meet people where they at, and we listen to them, brother. Like, and we listen to them, and then we try to have conversations with them that's designed to make them think, right? Because we all come from a degenerative subculture that has misshaped us, brother. So how do we meet people where they at, right? And then introduce alternative forms of thinking that will allow them to start to rethink about how they can reach the goal without putting their lives or their freedom in jeopardy.
Right, real talk. So we got a sister, Madriana say, come over to the ABS tribe. And believe you me, I've been talking to him about that. We're going to get him over there. So, and it's something, because you talk about the young people. So the ABS tribe, it's an acronym, Assets Before Explosion, right? And it's a tribe, a beautiful community. And it's headed by young brother Ben X and young brother Jacob Taylor. Now, these are young brothers. I personally have children older than these brothers. But these young brothers are so damn sharp. I'm talking about brother and the sisters. Bro, I'm like a student, brother. I got to just shut up and listen. I know I done read 1,000 books. I got to be just shut up and listen to what these youngsters are saying, because it's so profound. It's mind-blowing sometimes what's coming up out of these young folks. So when you were saying from mouth of our babes, from our young people, sometimes we got to listen. I mean, man, they saying something. It's a lot different than how we would say it. But when you listen to them, you're like, that make a lot of damn sense, you know? And what it is, it shows that we have to get unstuck, and not be so locked in to one view, one perception, and think like we're gonna be there forever. I remember a guy tell me one time, he said, this me, brother. I ain't gonna change. This how I am. I'm looking at him like, man, you sound like a damn fool, man. What you mean you ain't gonna change? What in the universe don't change, man, unless they just die? You know what I'm saying? You either live or you die.
Change.
Yeah, real talk. Yeah, real talk. So, you know, we definitely gonna get you up in that ABS tribe so you can take, you know, what God has blessed you with to create products and services and take it to a whole nother level, brother. So man, we coming to the end, but I want to go a little bit longer though, because I like this concept of trauma and what's going on. And listen, this wasn't scripted. It just morphed into this, but it's a good topic because too many of us deal with damn trauma that we do not know how to come up out of. We do not know how to face and the effects of it. Some of us have trauma. How you smoke a little dope, and then after it's off the pipe, you still got the residue there. Some of us think we've overcome, but the residue's still there. It's certain things that come up out of you here now. They let you know you ain't completely overcame that yet. It ain't all the way. I mean, right now the trauma, and it's so deep. It's so deeply ingrained. I remember in them camps. I don't know. I think I was in Mobley, and I was walking around the yard. This max security prison, right? I'm walking around the yard with some brothers. Now I had read all these books on Black history. I heard Elijah Muhammad say, "You God, black man." I read all this, right? So in my mind, I'm super black. I'm very Afrocentric in my thinking, right? You can tell me I wasn't black. I was a black man, proud to be black and stuff like that. But look at the question I asked this brother. I'm walking around the yard with this brother who had straight hair. And I looked at that brother. We walking around. I'm the political one. I'm in the Black Studies department. I'm reading the books. I'm teaching the brothers and all that. But I asked this brother, I said, "Hey, man, was you born with good hair?" And the brother looked at me and he said, "Young brother, what make you think my hair is good?" When you say my hair is good, you implying that because it's straight is good and your hair nappy is bad. Now, that's how it was at that point that I realized, damn, I ain't got all that about in me because I'm teaching,
that's right,
I'm reading, but here I am still thinking that straight hair was good hair, as black as I thought I was. That trauma is so deep, it's on a cellular level. We got to, and it might take years, take 400 years to put us in a certain condition as a people in this country. It ain't gonna happen overnight. We got a lot of great teachers that come among us.
So let's talk about this.
Let's talk about
this simply. A terminology that has been used multiple times, that has sometimes when you use stuff repetitiously, the impact of it becomes lost, and people become desensitized to it. Self-hate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Self-hate. Self-hate is, man, the only way we feel like we don't have the courage to be ourselves because we have been conditioned that in order to be who we authentically are in this society, runs the risk of us not moving ahead and changing our condition for what we perceive as a better situation. Like we talk a certain way around white people, they call it code switching. We feel like we can't wear our natural hair because we've been conditioned to believe that somehow that's unattractive. And when we feel it's unattractive, we know that other people have been shaped and molded by the same influences. So when we go into the office looking a certain way, they're going to be like, "Damn, what you tripping off of? What you tripping off of?"
Right.
And so it's going to be a negative reinforcer that already drives home and confirms everything that I don't like, that I feel like I should do. Man, we got to feel like we okay with being us, brother. We have been traumatized through self-hate.
Right.
Self-hate, no doubt, sister, post-traumatic slave syndrome. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We got post-traumatic slave syndrome, brother. You know them old sayings, but so let me tell you some of the things that I have been realizing since I've come home. It goes through cycles. Being black is back in fashion, but we can't lose this momentum this time. Because it's been times like through the 60s, through the 70s, through the 80s, where it was okay. And then somehow the momentum died and that programming that had been impacting us for centuries kicked back in, and we was right on our good hair kick, right? And so we have been conditioned, man. Do you know how much money we spend on products, man, that's designed to make us look like other people to change our natural features? A year, billions of dollars, brother, right. In the cosmetic industry, billions of dollars, because somehow we have been convinced to believe that our natural selves are not adequate enough. And so then so there's a thing called social learning theory, that's transgenerational trauma. That stuff been passed down, that good hair, bad hair stuff, that if you light, you're all right. If you brown, step around. If you black, step back. That stuff has been transmitted from generation to generation, man. We are the victims, man, of a behavior shaping system that told us self-hate. And nobody has really effectively addressed it except for maybe Noble Drew Ali, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and a few other brothers, man, and sisters who have stepped up to try to bring this to our awareness so we can start to undo. So the way we understand that is, so for me, this is how it works for me. I understood through studying history before slavery that not only were we the contributors of civilization, we were the establishers of what is called civilization. Right, that is a society that's in harmony with the natural order, and then you prosper based on that. Not just technology that goes against nature. You advance technologically, but you destroying the environment. That wasn't our way. Our way was we had civilizations. And so when I understood that we had this prior to slavery, and then through slavery, we became something else, you know what the natural question arises is, what did they do to us? What happened? And so when I went back and I started to identify what happened, it was through that history, brother, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm and them, and uncovering a lot of that stuff that started to undo those unhealthy ideas and images that I had internalized, that had inculcated me with self-hate. Man, I am the descendant of greatness and the originators of everything that we call civilization on this planet. Everything you see is nothing more than an adaptation or plagiarism. Is plagiarized from our people's stuff. Everything. I don't care what it is, right? If it's a cell phone, then the mathematics and the technology involved in that, the materials come up out of Africa, the mathematical formula comes up out of Africa. All of it, everything is us. And so this is not a hype man pitch. This is I tell people all the time, act like I'm lying, right? Act like I'm a liar, and then go study it yourself. Because it's better to arrive at the truth through your own efforts than somebody just telling you what it is. And that's when you start to undo some of that trauma that has paralyzed us, man, and prevented us from realizing our natural divine power inside of us. Because when you got self-hate, you ain't gonna look at yourself. And when I can convince you that yourself is nothing, you can't access that power in you, that divinity, and bring it out to respond to the challenges that face your community. That's why we're unsuccessful, because our resources, our internal resources, have been cut off because we've embraced the system that told us we ain't nothing.
Yeah, powerful, bro, powerful. And I'm gonna tell you, our great brother Noble Drew Ali says, and you will a lot of Moorish brothers quote this, that without a foe, a soldier never knows his strength, right? And I'm gonna tell you. So it's one thing to be so quote unquote conscious, and that's subjective in and of itself. I don't know whatever the hell that means, conscious, because some people say they conscious, crazy as hell, right? But they conscious though, they know about Imhotep, they can know about pyramids, but they killing themselves and they killing the community and everything. So I don't know. It got to be a compatibility with consciousness and activity, and what you got to be in harmony with that, right? But nevertheless, I remember a time when if you in the community, right? So I come from St. Louis. I'm here in Arizona now, but when I was in St. Louis, which is a predominantly black in city, the parts I was in, East St. Louis, almost 100% black, right? So in those environments, I was blessed to develop youth programs, mentoring programs, and things like that, right? And it wasn't really challenging because those programs, I can tailor make my program into the quote unquote black experience. I can talk that's relevant to us. We can talk about history and culture and certain social and political issues that's relevant to our community, right? But when I came out here to Arizona, it was a different breed, because Arizona got a small black population and it's more Caucasian and there's a lot more Latinos and our Mexican fam, right? But I still wanted to give back to young people of all ethnic groups. I just wanted to help young people, just wanted to help our youth, right? And so, but it was a challenge. Like, man, what do I say to these people? I can't talk the way I talk it there. I can talk the same talk, but I got to talk it in a different expression, right? So I learned how to say things somewhat differently. But what I'm gonna tell you, true to myself, what happened with this right here, I used to think that I was strong and that I wasn't afraid of like Caucasian people and stuff like that, right? But I remember going to a meeting that was almost predominantly white, and these were some highly educated people. These were accomplished people. They was business people, entrepreneurs, and I remember being in that environment. I'm like, damn, these people got everything. Like, man, they traveled the world. They got this, and that, right? But I remember the moment where I can be me, because sometimes we go in them environments and we shrink and we conform and we think we got to be somebody else. But I was in that environment and I was me, damn it. Brother Ghazi, the way I bring it. And I'm talking about brother, what blew me away was I can be me. I thought I had to switch up a little bit, but I was me. And damn it, they bowed. It was attractive. It was more attractive me being me than me being somebody else. But what that did for me psychologically was I needed that. To be honest to myself, I needed that. So a lot of people, they talk that bush, they talk it, but boy, they go in certain environments and they purr like little pussycats, right? They shrink and they bow down and they be other than themselves. but they don't roll at the line that they are. But you can go in them environments, and I got that from the minister. And no matter who the minister talking to, he fair kind. I don't care who he can be white, black, Chinese, but he humble, he respectful, he polite, but he's strong. He himself, no matter where he at. And so watching the minister over these years, I gotta pick up. You know, we look cubs, but when you hear lions roar, you want to roar a little bit, you know, and not roar from a vantage point of putting other people down. Because the flip side of it, we go into them environments where it's diversity, and we start talking about you crackers, you huckers, you this, you that. I don't think that's real. That's some BS too. I can express myself intelligently and just come out with facts. Like you say, let's deal with the facts here. Let's deal with if I'm lying, then correct me. If I'm wrong, then correct me. You know what I'm saying?
Brother, let me say this. Hold on. My daughter's mom is, you know, I got to go get my daughter, brother. Hold on for a second. Let me call hold on. Give me 1 second.
Okay. I hear you. So listen, y'all. So, you know, we on the phone on the interview with my brother Mataka, who spent 23 years behind bars, and he's out now doing some phenomenal things down there in Missouri. He's doing some amazing work down in Missouri. But the conversation today has been on trauma, the traumas that we deal with, and how do we overcome it? Because prison was definitely a trauma, but not only the trauma of prison, but if you're in a bad relationship, the trauma of bad relationship, the trauma of, you know, even as parents, you know, we parents now, those who have children, and the trauma that you felt as a child, you often impose that trauma on your children. It's the same reality, and then it becomes a self-repeating like curse, you know, a generational curse. It starts going down to our children, our grandchildren, and you wonder why, you know, you had a baby at 14, your daughter had a baby at 14, her daughter had a baby at 14, because it's something, and I always tell people, it's not like disease is not inherited. You know, we don't like all these disease, they say, oh, well, it might be in your genes. No, it's a condition that's inherited. We pass down a condition. It ain't cancer because I got cancer. That means my son gonna have cancer. But the condition is I smoke, I drank, I ate hog, I ate bad food, I ate all that. So I teach him that. And then when he get it, you say, see, it's in his genes. No, it ain't damn thing. It ain't genetic. The conditioning is passed down, not the reality of it, you know.
They call that in psychology social learning theory, bro. That's so what you just said. They got their own. Look at her talking about she from the boogie.
Who is that from the boogie? Who that is?
Hey man, listen, brother. You know I got my daughter is on the way, man. But you know, like I would like to be able to maybe down the line, brother, when you get some time, man, we could do a part 2.
Man, that's already done, brother. That's already done. Yeah, real soon, brother. Because
it's so much. I think my daughter is coming, but like, man, look, you know, my Facebook page, Mataka Askari. Just if you know, I'm gonna be doing some stuff from time to time. I'm getting ready to start doing again my Facebook lives on success stories. How can we extract up out of people's stories those things and areas that we can identify for our younger people to provide wraparound services that are interventions and coping strategies, so that way, man, they won't have to go through what we went through. How can we use our stories and our life experiences to be able to insulate and protect our children from making some decisions that led us down some wrong paths? We took the long way around. We want to try to shorten the path for them through our experiences.
Real talk, man. Well, I'm gonna tell you, brother. You know, I really appreciate you, man, coming on and sharing that. Man, you already know, man. Much love for life, man. You know, I'm glad you on this side of the walls now. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad you're, you know, last time I seen you, it's probably, man, I don't know, 20-something years ago. It probably was back in the 90s, you know, when I was getting out. I don't know where we was at, but I know we were locked up somewhere last time I seen you.
Yeah, I was in the kid too. So yeah. I gotta get my daughter, brother. Please let me know. Man, I appreciate, man. Thank you for the honor, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you for honoring us, brother.
For anything.
Yes, sir. Much love to you, big brother.
I love you, brother. Hotep. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Yes, sir.
Peace.
And so, family, you know, this topic here, you know, dealing with trauma is so amazing. You know, that brother there is a remarkable brother. You know, after coming out doing 23 years, you know, that's a hell of a thing to come out. He's doing some phenomenal and amazing things down there. So follow him on Facebook. Keep, you know, he one of them rising stars. You know, we're gonna keep it, and because many of our brothers come out, they have a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, and we come out of all kind of trauma, not just prison, but any kind of trauma. And we've grown, we've shifted, we've changed as a person. and then we don't have that balancing factor, and sometimes we don't have that support of the community and of our environment and of our family, and it's easy for us to go left field, so to speak. It's easy when something happens, and it's easy for us to go left field. But he was talking about these stories, and one thing that God has blessed me to be able to see is to see value in people's stories and people's experiences. So I'm gonna tell you, there's nothing that you have experienced, no matter how bad it may be, the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, the pain, the hell, the trauma, the frustration, the disappointment, dissatisfaction, wherever it may be that you experience, that is void of a powerful lesson. Everything that you experience, it has a powerful lesson attached to that experience. And sometimes when we go through that kind of hell and that kind of pain, we disassociate ourselves from the experience. But when you do that without getting them lessons from that experience, you robbing yourself of what you need to help your ass grow up, to help you go to another level. So we wind up repeating the same cycle over and over and over again because we went through the experience, but we didn't get the lesson to help us grow up. It's them lessons in those experiences. So listen, this platform right here, Back on Track, it's a platform. I'm welcome. I'm asking everybody, reach out to me. I love to share stories and to share information that will impact and inspire and empower other people using your own story, your own experiences, what you've been through, what God blessed you to go through and overcome. And don't be afraid. When you go through something, when you make poor choices in life and you make bad decisions and you do things that you know damn well are just out of character and it's just whack. When you do that, now your challenge is to face it. Man up, woman up, to face it, right? And to deal with it and be transparent. Don't run from it, but to face it, be transparent with it, and then talk about the lessons you learned from that. Because even that situation, no matter how bad it may be, no matter how it makes you appear, it may make you appear to be whatever. I don't believe the dude did that old dumb stuff right there. Man, how can she do that? She should know better. And it make you appear to be a certain way, but it ain't about perception of everybody else. It's about growing up on the inside yourself. It's about taking your life to another level with your own personal experiences, with what God has blessed you to overcome and to endure. So go back to them experiences and extract something from it. And if you need help with that, God bless us to be wired on the level right there, and right now we're developing a course and an ebook to show people how to use their story, use their experiences to get wealth and influence. It's right there in your story. Right there, I'm telling you right now in your own story. You listen to this right now live or you listen to the replay. I'm telling you right now in your own story, your own personal experiences is such value. It's such wealth right there that's unmined. You ain't just dug it up right. You ain't using it right. You ain't taking advantage of it right. But man, I'm telling you, it's something that's right there in your story that'll produce wealth for you, influence, and that'll take your life to a whole other level. You talking about living your best life? Oh man, it's right there. It's right there in your own story and your own experience. So listen, I thank y'all for joining us this today. I'm Back on Track, and actually, this afternoon, I'll be back, and I'm gonna have my siblings on. So I'm gonna have my siblings on, and we're gonna talk about their perception of their brother Ghazi coming up. Y'all gonna hear a lot of stuff about me that I might not even know that they perceive that. I don't know what kind of memories they're gonna bring out, but I'm looking forward to having a discussion with my siblings. Talking to them about how they see me then and now, where I'm at, how it affected them when I got locked up, how it affected them when I was young and crazy as hell and all kind of stuff, right? I'm looking forward to hearing that. So listen, that's going to be about 6 o'clock Central Time. And we're looking forward to really engage in that conversation to show us that no matter what you've been through in life, how you can take whatever experience it is, you can take the lesson from that experience and catapult your life to another level. So y'all stay tuned. We love, we respect y'all. And listen, if you want to go far, you want to go fast. It's an African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. But if you want to go far, you go with a team, go together, go collectively, go with your people, go with a nation. It got to be a collective effort. No matter how great and phenomenal you think you are as an individual, you ain't a damn thing about the collective. So that's the power of the unity. We bridge our brain power, our experiences, our intellect, our knowledge, our wisdom, and our understanding. We put it together, and then we help the whole collectively. Ain't no individual, ain't no big eyes in this thing. Big eyes and little U's. every last one of us is important. Every last one of us is valuable. So thank you all for listening to this podcast. And join me in a couple hours, 6 o'clock Central Time, as I'm going to be discussing with my siblings. And I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know what experiences. We didn't rehearse nothing. I just asked them to come on, and I think it's going to be a healthy conversation for all of us dealing with myself and my siblings. So you all have a blessed day. Thank you all for joining.